Welcome to the Buzz for the 6th of January, though we are late getting it out. This is Kat Kennedy and Stephanie Sinclair, and we're bringing you all the latest young adult book news in our community.
Hi. Very eloquent. That's me.
That was a great contribution to the discussion, Stephanie.
I try. It's not easy being me.
Okay, so this week, a new study out of the woodwork, bringing us information that we probably already knew. It's a study that tells us basically that reading is good for your brain.
I'm so shocked by this information. I had no idea that all those hours I spent reading and all the years I spent in school where my teachers were shoving books left and right at me, it actually had a reason. It's good for my brain. I'm glad I finally know this information that has been out for years.
It wasn't a huge sample size either, so you have to be careful what conclusions you do take away of a study of this smaller size. And, you know, it was only, you know, they had a 5-day period where they didn't read any books and they had their brains scanned every day. They had a 9-day reading period where the participants read each night, and then they had a 5-day washout period where they kept scanning the people's brains every morning even though they hadn't read anything the night before. And whilst they did find increased brain activity, I think, you know, in the greater and right posterior temporal gyro.
Somewhere in your brain.
Yeah, it's sciencey speak for brainy grey mass stuff. There you go. You know, what they did find that there was a lot of progressive and correlating brain activity that remained. It peaked at about 6 to 8 days and then remained for a few days after. So there were positive, but albeit a little bit short-term side effects of reading. But we also have known for years that there are a lot of correlations between reading, especially in children, and, you know, how well they do in school. Even the more books a child has in their home increases the chances that they will do well in school, stay longer in school, probably go to university. You know, there's been so many of those kinds of studies just to give us a correlation between reading and good intelligence and good brain.
I think it was kind of a waste of time, especially since this study wasn't very large. But it had 9 people in it. I don't understand why they only did so few. I think if they really were hoping to bring some type of new information to the table, that they should have opened it up more broadly and included more subjects in the study. So.
Well, it was a very small study, but maybe that's just because of budgeting and time. And, you know, obviously, you know, you're not going to invest a lot of money in is reading good for you or not, because people know the answer to that question. But apparently it's good enough. Did you know, because we did not, that there is an ambassador for young people's literature in America? Because, did you know that, Steph?
No, and I think that person must be doing a terrible job if I'm just finding out that there's a young adult ambassador. Are they touring in a bus? Are they visiting libraries, bookstores? How are they getting, you know, this news out to people? Is there a Twitter account that we could all follow for this young adult ambassador? Because I think the young adult community should know about this person.
It might be helpful, but apparently it's a position that you receive. You are elected by the Librarian of Congress, which, by the way, has to be the most badass librarian title out there. Like, that is just awesome. It's a joint venture between the Library of Congress, the Children's Book Council, and Every Child a Reader. They all sponsor for the ambassador to travel around the country and to basically involve young people in reading and try to encourage that. Kate DiCamillo is this, you know, session's ambassador for the next 2 years, and she will be focusing on stories that connect us. So she will be traveling around the country to do that.
I wonder where she's going to stop off, because I think it would be really interesting to perhaps go to see, you know, how they're hoping to accomplish that. And like I said, I'm wondering if they're touring libraries or bookstores, because I've never heard of it. I've never even seen it in my local news, and I don't live that far from DC, so I was expecting something, you know, for me to actually be familiar with it. But I've never heard of this before, so I mean, sounds really nice and cool, but
Goodreads. We're on to another ambassador for young people's literature, which is a giant social user reading conglomerate that is Goodreads. And they posted an infographic this week celebrating the fact that they now have 25 million Goodreads users. Now, I'm wondering if we're going to start getting these celebrations every 5 million users Goodreads gets, because we were just hearing about how Goodreads reached 20 million users, and I got a very lovely email telling me that I was one of the top 1% of Goodreads users.
yeah, rub it in, Kat, because I didn't get one of those 1% emails. I don't understand. I mean, not to toot my horn or anything, but I am a top reviewer of the site of all time, and I did not get an email. I don't know if Goodreads is holding some type of mysterious grudge against me or anything, but I want to know how many people actually use the site. I'm willing to bet it's only the 1% that's actually adding content, the 1% that are fixing the librarian edits, the 1% that are reviewing books regularly.
Well, just anecdotally speaking, as a 1% Goodreads user, I do none of those things. I barely log onto the site.
What about their infograph? I mean, they have to now, I bet you they're going to make an infograph for every 5 million users, 5 more million users they hit.
One of the parts on the infograph was that which was the most read book this year, and I think we can all clap our hands together and probably have guessed for ourselves that book would be Dan Brown's Inferno, and guess what? It was. Moving on, though, is that we too could probably get lots of money if we sell a really awesome Sherlock fan fiction, which we can probably do now without having to get a license. The first 4 books and 56 short stories written by Arthur Conan Doyle between, I think, 1887 is when he started writing those. They've been public domain for a while. This only relates to stuff written after 1923, and that's where the Arthur Conan Doyle estate had still licensing, and they gave third-party license agreements out. But now that no longer needs to happen thanks to Klinger's little courtroom dramatics, and now he can go and write all the anthologies and edit all the Sherlock anthologies he wants without Arthur Conan Doyle estate breathing down his neck being like, pay us, pay us.
It's actually pretty funny because the works is very, you know, it's pretty old now, and for them to, every time he wanted to write something, basically keeping the Sherlock Holmes magic alive and, you know, with his fan fiction, now he can do whatever he wants. They should have just, you know, made some type of deal with him or just let him be.
Well, you know, like they're obviously rigidly enforcing their copyright laws. That's well within their bounds. It was just, you know, thank you, Klinger, for taking one for the team and doing something about it. And unfortunately, in the court ruling, what was not included was Benedict Cumberbatch becoming public domain. So hands off, unfortunately. New Vampire Academy clip out. We just talked about the new Divergent clip that came out last week, which was immediately very effective on both Steph and I in piquing our interest in the series, in the movie.
It sure
but this Vampire Academy clip does not give me the thrills. I was just not very impressed with it. It's a very short clip, and basically the highlight of it is that Rose punches Mia, which would seem in character, except it just seems to come out of nowhere. It's more like a bully lashing out than somebody justifiably, not that there's ever really justifiable reason to hit somebody, but you certainly kind of felt like it in the books, not so with that clip. What did you think, Steph?
Well, I thought it was strange. I think they're really trying to go for the comedic edge in this movie, which I guess works because Rose does have a lot of sarcastic moments. But in that clip, it does seem a little mean. Mia doesn't even attack Alyssa. She doesn't attack anybody. She just bares her fangs, and then she just gets sucker punched in the nose.
And it is a knockout punch because, you know, Mia for people who haven't read the books, is a Moroi vampire. So she's not trained to fight. She's just trained to be a princess and to, well, not a princess, but just to be protected and looked after. Whereas Rose is a vampire, which they are trained from a young age in physical combat because their jobs, their entire purpose in life, once they get older, is to protect the weaker vampires. So it's like a lion picking a fight with a kitten, and all because she asked Lissa if her baby had
herpes. What is that? I don't remember that being in the book. I really would have remembered that.
That is the fact that somebody would say that is a very strong indictment against healthcare education in that country.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was a weird clip. I mean, I'm still excited about seeing the movie, but I think if that's the best that they're going to show us right now, it kind of makes me worry.
Yeah, it's not a great way to entice fans. But, probably more interesting is that Rochelle Mead actually has a walk-in role on the movie scene. Apparently she shows up in one of the very earliest scenes as a teacher doing a walk-by. So that's cool, at least.
That's interesting. I wonder if she's going to have any type of lines, or if she's just going to appear off to the side like Stephenie Meyer does in Twilight as she's typing away on her laptop in the same cafe or restaurant that Bella and her father eats at. I think it's cool when authors make cameos. It's nice. It's cool for knowing that they're involved in some way and their creation comes to big screen. Let's just hope that it actually is a good movie.
Yeah, apparently it's just a walk-past scene, like there are no dialogues. It's really just straightforward. She just walks past and you catch a glimpse of her, so that's that. I mean, lines, that would take a little bit extra work.
I think Stephenie Meyer said thank you as her line. She was accepting some coffee. I don't know why I remember that.
Yeah, you have a strange memory. And yeah, one of the other things this week is that Rowling's lawyer, the one who busted her secret identity as Robert Galbraith for The Cuckoo's Calling. He, as the story goes, for those who don't know, J.K. Rowling was writing under a pen name of Robert Galbraith as the author of The Cuckoo's Calling. Gossage, who was her entertainment lawyer, told his wife's best friend at a party while trying to impress her. Did I just say impressed her?
Impressed her?
I hope he breasted her, man, because otherwise this is it. Yeah.
Why was he trying to impress his wife's best friend? I'll leave that discussion to another day.
Gossage's wife's best friend, Caligari, he decided that after being told that deeply personal, private information, immediately went to Twitter and tweeted a journalist about it. So the cat was out of the bag. Rowling did take both Gossage and Caligari to court. It was settled discreetly outside courtroom doors in private for an undisclosed amount, which Rowling then donated to charity. But this week, Gossage was also fined by the Solicitors Regulation Authority for breach of privacy and was rebuked by them formally. So that's a neat little resolution. The bad guys got and the good person donated money to charity.
JK wins and she donates her money because she's a classy lady and she wins all the time. You don't burn JK. That's just not smart.
You do not. There is a legion of fans out there who would fall on a sword for that woman.
Yes, she's just way too powerful. I mean, it's just not smart to burn the queen. Dare you.
Do not upset the hive.
You look scary.
They're my puppies.
Oh my gosh, you look like a crazy cat lady.
Children's authors reading out their negative reviews in a rip-off of Jimmy Kimmel's Celebrities Reading Their Tweets. Children's authors have been reading mean reviews from their adult readers.
Well, they're not really mean reviews. They're just negative. I wouldn't say they're mean, because some of them aren't mean.
A few of them are a little bit...
Yeah. A few of them are a little bit mean, but most of them are just oh, I didn't like this book. It sucked as hard as the author. It was, or something someone said. I hate this woman. It was, some of them were mean, but then others were just, this book is boring. I don't like this book. My child loved this book, and we had to hide it from our child so that they wouldn't make us read it to her again. I personally can understand that feeling. There are many of my kids' books that I just want to burn because I don't want to read it again in my life. But that's just a part of the territory of having little people in your house with books. Buy your kids new books, I guess. It's the only way you can get over that. But I really liked it. I really liked the video because I thought it was an interesting way to appreciate all your readers, even the ones that hate your books. And they mentioned that at the end. They said they love all their readers, even the ones that really, really dislike what they write.
There were a few of the authors that I really liked how they read it out because it was obviously clearly they were taking a dig at themselves at the same time, which is pretty fair. I do think sometimes those kind of videos can be a bit risky because it can just come off as taking a hit back. Like, I think one of the authors who read out what seems like a pretty fair criticism of the book, and the only remark that author made was that that person spelled a word wrong. And I'm like, well, from what they wrote, the point wasn't how it's spelled. They had some intelligent things to say.
My favorite one was when the reviewer said the only person who would like this is a goth teen, and then the camera cut to a goth teen, and she was like, I really like this book. That was great.
There were some really clever moments in the video. Another video this week that we have to talk about is Goodreads Scammers.
He's a booktuber. His name is Movie Guy. Yeah, I just pulled up his YouTube channel. So his name is Cameron. Cameron posted a video talking about Goodreads scammers and how an author was trying to trick him into reading a book by impersonating a 12-year-old girl. He evidently had the avatar of a 12-year-old girl and basically just exhibiting some really creepy stalker-like behavior on the internet, which is not really new or anything. I mean, that stuff happens on Goodreads all the time. But it just goes to show you got to be really careful of who you're talking to on Goodreads. Anybody can impersonate anyone, which half of those 25 million subscribers.
For all you poor American people freezing your tushies off, wow, us here in Australia trying to keep cool, remember, if you're in a sticky situation where you're freezing to death, cutting a tauntaun open won't save your life, okay? You can't just squish in there with all the wet internal organs. It's not going to work for you, okay? You have to turn it inside out to stay warm. That's Cuddlebuggery's tip of the month.
That sounded horrifying. Or you could do it the easy way and just put your coat on.
All you've got is a tauntaun that you just slaughtered with your lightsaber. You work with what you have, okay? Have a good week, and better yet, have a good read.
Bye. Camera didn't even switch to me. This is bullcrap. Whatever.